In this video, we'll be taking a look at subtraction in equivalent expressions from 7th grade Unit 6, Lesson 18. So the goals that we have today, I can rewrite subtraction as adding the opposite and then rearrange terms in an expression. And I can organize my work when I use the distributive property. So in our lesson, we looked at this. Is this true or false? 7 3/4 plus 3 5/6 minus 1 3/4. Does that equal 7 3/4 plus 3 5/6 plus negative 1 3/4? Okay, think to yourself, yeah or no? Okay, if your answer is yes, does that also equal 7 3/4 plus negative 1 3/4 plus 3 5/6? All right, this is a true statement. It's true because in the first case, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. And in the second example, the commutative property of addition tells us we can rearrange the order when we add. Okay, so these two properties really help us when we're simplifying expressions that have negative numbers and when we're using the distributive property. So we're going to use the distributive property to try to write in an expression that's equivalent to negative 3 times the quantity 2x minus y minus 5. And these boxes are used to help you organize your work. Okay, this may help you if you think of this as negative 3 times the quantity 2x plus negative y plus negative 5. Then you see that you're multiplying a negative 3 by this 2x. We can think of this box as a negative y, and then this last one as a negative 5. And when we multiply, we have the negative 3 times the 2x. In this first box, we have negative 6x. The next, we have negative 3 multiplied by this negative y. A negative times a negative is a positive, so this is positive 3y. And then in our last box, we have negative 3 being multiplied by that negative 5. So a negative times a negative, again, it's a positive, and this is positive 15. When we're writing this, if we're looking at this kind of like an area model, we would add up our sections together to get our final answer. So we'll have negative 6x plus 3y plus 15, and that will be our final answer. Okay, so I want you to look at these. Why are these expressions not equivalent? X plus 2 minus 3x minus 10, and then x plus 3x minus 2 minus 10. Looks like they rearranged the terms in there. What about this makes them not actually equivalent to each other? Okay, the reason why is because subtraction doesn't work with the commutative property. You're not allowed to just switch terms around a subtraction sign. You know that 5 minus 0 is not the same thing as 0 minus 5. Since minus 3x is the same as plus negative 3x, the negative sign needs to stay with 3x when you're arranging the terms. So you could write this as x plus 2 plus negative 3x plus negative 10, and then you're allowed to switch it around, and you could make it x plus negative 3x plus 2 plus negative 10. And then if you want, you could even rewrite those with minus signs at the end and get x minus 3x plus 2 minus 10 as an equivalent expression. Okay, so looking back at your goals, do you feel like you can rewrite subtraction as adding the opposite and then rearrange as needed? And can you organize your work using the distributive property even with negative numbers?